So All Quiet on the Western Front appeared on Netflix recently, and I had no idea it was coming. I remember reading the book for summer reading when I was like 13 or 14. I'm 25 now, so I don't really remember the book that well. Therefore, I'm going to be talking about this film without any attachment to the source material. However, I read that it is faithful to the book. Despite portraying the absolute atrocities of World War I, this is a beautifully well-shot film. The first few scenes depict trench warfare, which was the main system of land warfare during World War I. We begin with gorgeous stills and shots of the quiet Western Front, the stalemate of fighting on no man's land, and then bam, just like that, machine guns start firing and chaos ensues. Now, trench warfare was defensive, not offensive, and so there are many times where there's nothing happening on both sides until one side attacks. We see this in the very first scene. Anyone who has seen a war film is accustomed to the barbarity of warfare. This film's scenes of battle, especially the opening scene, reminds me of the D-Day scene in Saving Private Ryan, a realistic depiction of battle, brutal, horrific. Probably one of the best openings to any film. I mean, it just grips you. For 20 minutes, you're just watching absolute chaos. And you can feel the machine gun bombardment in this film. As the film goes on, we see the technological advancements of war in the form of armored tanks, machine guns, flamethrowers. We see the destructive capabilities of these new advancements. You feel it. The shell shock of the soldiers, friends getting left behind in the dirt because artillery is advancing and you have to move on. Tanks wiping out 20 men at a time, flamethrowers clearing out men in the trenches, the troops drinking dirty water because they're so thirsty. Even during the quiet moments of this film, explosions can be seen and heard in the distance. So even though there's a stalemate happening, it never felt like the troops could breathe and relax. So All Quiet on the Western Front focuses on Paul Baumer, a young German soldier right out of high school, and his experiences during the war. We meet many soldiers aside from Paul, but Paul outlives all of them. He's kind of like the last man standing, so he almost becomes the main character as the story pushes forward. It's like an Alien where Ripley is the main character, but it only feels that way because she ultimately starts to take control of the situation. She wasn't the main character at the start of that film. That's how it feels with Paul. Paul and his friends are eager. They're excited to join the armed forces even though they're heading into the lion's den. Before Paul and his friends even get to their post, they're attacked. It immediately takes away the excitement these soldiers felt and thrusts them right into the firefight, down in the trenches, into hell. The story here is simple, Paul living through the war. We occasionally check in on the high command officials trying to reach an end to the war. It's mainly just Paul and his experiences. The downside of this film is that it can be a bit boring at times or feel like it's dragging. Usually that's due to pacing, but in this film, it's more reflective of the history that it's trying to portray. Life in the trenches was monotonous, and this film reflects that. While the film can drag at times, the filming is spectacular. You can feel exactly what the film wants you to feel. The sense of isolation and loneliness the soldiers felt, their psyches gradually deteriorating, how wet, filthy, and cold the trenches were, the rats, the diseases, the infections, the almost unbelievable amount of corpses in both no man's land and in the trenches, the blood, the rubble, the smoke. You feel the vulnerability of these soldiers. You are as scared as they are when bullets fly. Most of these soldiers are teenagers. They're young, and here they are killing, dodging bullets, running over barbed wire. You see so many kids in the devastating wake of destruction, covered in debris, soldiers scrambling to save their lives and their fellow soldiers' lives. The film does a wonderful job at allowing you to feel like you are there. As I said, the filming is top-notch. Even the sequences of bombardment, the sun rising above the tree lines, the dead of night with soldiers lying on the battlefield under the moonlight. It's brutal, but it's stunning. And there are a number of great scenes in this film. Paul and his fellow soldiers getting the opportunity to eat a hot meal after weeks of malnourishment, bringing them so much joy. There's a scene where Paul hacks a French soldier to death, but he takes a moment and looks down at the soldier and realizes, damn, he's just a kid like me. It's quick though, because the constant bombardment doesn't allow time to grieve. Eventually it just becomes another day ending in Y. Similarly, there's a scene where Paul stabs a soldier to death, but this time he and the soldier are trapped in this pit in the middle of no man's land under heavy machine gun fire. He can't escape. It forces Paul to watch this man die a slow, painful death and allows him to actually take it in. And he hasn't yet had a moment where he could realize what he's doing, but now he does. He's forced to, and you can see it getting to him. At first, he tries to expedite the process by suffocating the man. Then he tries to save him and feels intense feelings of remorse, coming to grips with the fact that he's widowed this man's wife and taken his child's father away. Paul's devastation is palpable, and the lines begin to blur between his responsibility to his country and his responsibility to his fellow man. Once the armistice is close to becoming in effect, there's a brilliant line spoken by Paul's friend Kat. The fighting has come very close to ending, and Kat is just staring out the window looking into no man's land, and he says, "It's so still, I must be going deaf." These troops were so used to heavy and constant bombardment that they haven't really heard silence in a while. They haven't seen the terrain without mobility on it for a while. It's a powerful moment. It's very quick, but it's powerful. The PTSD that all these soldiers in the trenches feel can momentarily be forgotten because the smoke is clearing, and a new day is upon them. The final sequence has Paul fighting one last fight before his death. It takes place 15 minutes before the armistice becomes in effect. He's angry. He's more vicious than he's ever been. He's lost so much in this war. Aside from friends and comrades, he's lost his innocence, his compassion, and almost his soul. He raids the trenches one last time, killing a great many of soldiers. A stark contrast to the previous scenes of Paul fighting where he was scared and hesitant to kill. The film ends with Paul being stabbed during a ferocious fight with an enemy soldier, and a soldier that Paul saved earlier in the film collects his dog tag. It's poignant, but it feels right. This film is just really good. It does what 12 Years a Slave did, in that it emphasizes the brutality of history. In the case of 12 Years a Slave, it was about American slavery. In this case, it's about World War I. It's gut-wrenchingly grim, it's honest, and it's real. The film never holds back, and as a result, you walk away from this film feeling down, feeling uneasy about things, and that's the point. This film is not trying to depict anything good or glorious about war, or what World War I did for the world. I would highly recommend this film. It's undoubtedly difficult to watch at times, but it's one damn good film. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe to the channel. I'd be more than appreciative if you did. Have a great day, and I will see you all next week. Take care, everybody. Stay safe.